Okay, and it's Friday morning, and we're live.
Hello.
It's coffee chat.
Hello.
So, by way of introduction for folks when they watch this now, when they're watching later, this is Steady State Network Coffee Chat. Tara and I get together every Friday morning to talk about rowing, coaching, coxing, all sorts of things rowing related. And we can't wait to hear what you have to say. So, you are welcome to add your comments. And when you join, let us know how your rowing week is going.
Right. How's your rowing week going?
Me, right off the bat, right into it. My rowing week, scale of 1 to 10. Oh, man, this week I'm gonna put it like a 5. I
Because
haven't I
do you have a hurricane coming towards you?
haven't well, so Hurricane Ian, right, that hit Florida is now making its way up the East Coast. We are going to be getting rain from that in the next probably 48 hours, and we can talk about this later, but we are slightly concerned about what all that rain is going to do to the Potomac River here in DC because we're supposed to be racing head of the Potomac on Sunday. So right now models are showing yucky. Yucky on
Well, okay. So I would imagine there's a couple factors here.
yeah.
Higher water equals maybe faster water,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of faster water.
Yeah.
Wind equals debris. So there's
Yes.
debris in the water.
Yeah.
So I noticed someone posted, was it you, PBC? You posted the pre-race map was done virtually and it looks like a hurricane map.
Yeah, so this was one thing I thought was really smart actually is that Potomac Boat Club had a pre-regatta coaches and coxswains meeting, and they did that virtually last night. And this is brilliant, by the way. I think that all clubs should do this. I mean, they're going to have another like shorter coaches and coxswains meeting day of, but anyway, so it was online last night, and the very first thing that the host of the session put up on the screen was like a model, a meteorological map of what's going to be happening Sunday morning. And it's just like rain, 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 rain. And you're totally right. What will the next couple days of rain do to the flow in the Potomac? Apparently, she said something like it takes about 3 days for crap from rain to make its way in towards the section of river where we're going to be racing. But I would bet that there will be stuff in the river that we need to be worrying about. But it's just
Yeah.
supposed to be rainy and windy, which is not fun.
No, I mean, I think it'd be interesting to look ahead. I mean, the Charles and Boston would be
Yeah.
a nasty location for a thing. And I've talked to a number of people who, when I mentioned that I'm going to the head of Charles, are like, I was there the year it was called off, like for a
Yeah.
nor'easter.
Yeah.
It's epic. It's
Yeah.
very rare.
What do you see?
Well, I'm seeing Willow's comment that they
Oh,
tested positive for COVID-19 and then are missing a funeral today. Oh, that's a 0.
that's a
Um,
0 week. Yeah. Well,
mine, I think
yeah, sure. Go
mine's
ahead.
like a 6. I unfortunately had to miss practice this morning, but I found a very formidable sub for me. Normally we practice on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. We're loading the trailer tomorrow, which I also have to miss because I need to work. So I'm feeling a little kind of disconnected from this regatta. It's my first one since 2019. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to be there. But I wish I felt a little bit more like, in the mix.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just gonna like go and put my head down and bring a good snack and, do the thing. But so I'm racing Tail of the Lake this weekend in the women's 8. It's a 9:30 flight. I'm not sure where it falls in the flight, but it's done by 11.
Yeah.
So I'm packing my golf clubs and my change of clothes. I'm going to play some golf and get home, and I get to see Graham Nash on Sunday night. So
Oh, all right, man. You've got a busy Sunday, but
yeah,
busy weekend coming up.
But I wanted to see what I did this morning, which is a hot tip for anyone doing a fundraising event.
Okay.
So you can see, I'm wearing a shirt that says Voice of Vashon. That's our local radio station here. And we do a big raffle every year. We sell tickets outside our Thriftway. So being on a small island, we only have 2 grocery stores. And one of them is the Thriftway. Rachel, you've been to it.
Yeah.
And we sell raffle tickets. And the prize is a 3-minute shopping spree at Thriftway. Like as fast as you can go. You can have spotters. You can have extra people with carts. You can have flaggers that are like over here. You can map the store ahead of time.
Yep.
You can do the whole thing. So this is my second year being Instagram person for this. And it was awesome because the person who won the spree donated it to the food bank. So
that's fantastic.
So the food bank sent shoppers and they knew exactly what they needed, and they bought $1,500 worth of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And Leslie from the food bank was like, ask your food bank what they want. Don't just give them what you have. Like, ask them what they want. And so she said that's a week's worth. $1,500 worth of meat is a week's worth. So
that's
great.
That's fantastic.
But I didn't get to be on the water this morning, and that's it until Sunday's race. But I'm excited. It's a race I've done a lot. Tail of the Lake. I was on Lake Union in Seattle. You've been there. You've been to Lake Union.
Yep.
And but it's just so nice to have an oar in my hand 3 days a week. Again, I know it's short-lived. It's only going to go till November 6th. That's the end of it for sweep for a while. So
yeah. Well, I'll be curious for you. If you're able to pull back together the ladies for sweep next season, because I know that was a bit of a challenge this year.
Yeah. And I haven't had a lot of luck with this club in terms of putting out some ideas and like being part of a conversation. So I just kind of take what they offer, which is kind of weird, like I want to find a sweep team. So maybe I can convince Dave Harvey to do a sweep team in Tacoma. And I can go
yeah. So here's one thing that I really love, because we have been doing coffee chat now for a while, 18 months or something like that. And we've known each other for a couple years, and we've gone through a couple of cycles, right? A couple of seasons. And, we're winding down this season now. And over the last couple of years, you and I have together and separately been in like really different places with what's going on in our rowing lives, and from rowing to not rowing to coaching to not coaching. And so last year I was rowing and you were coaching
a little.
Or this year I'm not rowing, but I'm coaching, and we've got a month left in the season, and I'm like, oh, I miss rowing so much. Just my body has changed so much in the last 6 months from not rowing. It's ridiculous. And I just can't. I think next year I'm going to choose rowing over coaching. I know that my brain likes coaching a whole lot, but I think as a human being, I might be happier and healthier if I was rowing. So
I think you're right. I mean, the benefits of, and here you could strike a compromise. This is what I've done is I teach a very short class. I don't do the I'm the coach every Tuesday for the eternity. I'm like, you know what? I'll do a 2-weekend learn to row, and that's it. Just so I can get that little fix of coaching.
Yeah.
Or I'll offer private lessons to newbies or small group private lessons or something, because I need to scratch that itch quite a bit. But yeah, I'm happy to be back to rowing. I mean, this is my first time back with any regularity since 2019.
Yeah.
And I feel you though. It's a hard call. I really hated what I felt like when I wasn't rowing.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you are. I'm glad that you're going to be rowing Tail of the Lake this weekend there in Seattle. Fingers crossed that the weather is manageable here in DC for Head of the Potomac. I need to get on the water this weekend, rain, wind, whatever, because I need to get in that coxing seat. I'm going to be coxing a mixed 8. And I need to make this happen before Head of the Charles. So I have been coxing and rowing for a very long time, but have not coxed much at all this year. And I've got a big challenge up ahead of me in a month, getting down to Charles. So no matter what happens with weather this weekend, Head of the Potomac, I'm ready, raring to go, because I need to get in a big boat and push it down a course and be tight on buoy line and get comfortable with my coxing voice and all that stuff. So knock on wood, weather
It's going to be
holds.
great. You're going to be ready. Wanted to say thank you to our sponsors of the podcast, Concept 2, Lake Washington Rowing Club, and drum roll, please. What's our new sponsor?
We are super excited. We have a brand new gold level sponsor named Breakwater Realty. This is a realty company up in Portland, Maine, serving your needs in that area. So check them out, breakwaterrealty.com, if you're in the New England area and looking for a place in Maine.
So I don't know what it is, but Maine keeps popping up all week this week in my clients, in the barber chair, people talking about Maine, this development. So I think I'm being called up to Maine. I think.
Well, we should take a trip there. Let's put it on our map. We're going to put a pin in the map with the other 18 million places we want to go together. But a lot of stuff happened in Maine, or I should say, there was a big push into Maine in the last couple of years during the pandemic. People were leaving cities and looking for a place to go, and a lot of people moved up to Maine, and it is beautiful there. One of my favorite places is Bar Harbor and a couple of national parks up there. I think if I wasn't here in DC, Maine might be the place for me. Well,
it could be a good place to end up. It
could be a good place to end up. Yeah, I'm really torn, Tara, actually, because I'm a New England girl, so I really like Maine, but I love I love the beach. I love North Carolina, South Carolina. So I have this big pipe dream someday of like having gobs of money. I don't know where I'm going to get it. I'm going to have a place up north, a place in the south, and that'll be the way to be.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to tell us how your rowing week is going, that's great. We have a very exciting episode coming out tonight to our patrons and tomorrow for the public. Oh my God. This was such a thrill. So good. Oh my God. Eric Murray. Woo!
Whoa. Okay. So here's the thing. So Tara and I in Steady State Network, the whole premise of Steady State Network from day one has been to kind of bring things down to a relatable level. And our sweet spot is with masters rowers. But Eric Murray, two-time Olympian from New Zealand, is really a legend. And if you are not aware, that's okay. But he's a part of this real big rowing community that we're all a part of. And he dominated in a pair with Hamish Bond for like 8 years.
Yep.
And he reached out to us and said, hey, I'd like to be on your podcast. So we kind of freaked out and said, of course, we'd love to talk with you. And bing, bing, boom, he was on. We were talking to him.
It was nuts. I admit, I had a moment there where I was like, oh, because I'm a pair fan. I love the pair. If you're not familiar with Eric Murray, he's part of a boat that they call the Kiwi pair. They're from New Zealand, Hamish Bond and Eric Murray. I think we might assume that people know who this is, but he and Hamish dominated the pair for, I think, almost 8 years. And when we talk about dominating, we're talking about open water. Like, see ya, like that kind of domination. And they were beautiful to watch. And he is also a real lively personality. Hamish and Eric have both retired from flatwater rowing. Hamish actually went on to be a champion cyclist, which is kind of a good complementary sport. And Eric spends his time doing indoor erging and working for Concept 2. But this episode was really fun, and he shared a lot. He dropped a lot of knowledge, like a lot of knowledge. We were like,
I thought you were going to say he dropped a lot of F-bombs, but they actually weren't.
Well, that too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was really good. So we hope you'll plan on listening. It drops tonight if you're a Patreon, and you can become a Patreon today and you can get it tonight. Or you can find it tomorrow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast streamer you use. And we'd love you to share it and tell us what you think, because we've been doing this podcast for a long time now, and we have seen a lot of people enjoy it. So thank you.
Yeah. And this would be a good time to note, Tara, that so you just mentioned that we've got a Patreon subscription, and those patrons get the episode early. With this episode, we've actually got a couple of bonus tracks that'll be going out to our patrons, and they'll only be accessible to our patrons for the time being. So if you want to hear those are going to be a couple of clips about some really awesome clips. Eric talked to us in depth about 2014 race where Hamish dipped his hand mid-race to Arona 38. And he goes into detail about not just the hand dip, but how that came to be and how confident they were when that happened. And then we've got another bonus clip. What's the second bonus clip? About
LA 2028.
LA 2028, which Tara and I are going to talk about a bit today. So if you want to hear those clips, become a Patreon. You can do that today for as little as $5 a month.
Yeah, it's super good. The way that we stay afloat here at Steady State Network is by your emotional and mental support, but a little bit of Patreon. And if you are going to Boston, we're going to be hooking up with our Patreons, linking up and having an event, or just making friends with that. But let's talk about LA 2028. So what happened was, because of the course itself and other reasons, they shortened the Olympics. The Olympic course is now 1,500 meters for LA 2028. And like we said, Eric and I and Rachel and I talked about it. I just love saying that, Eric and I.
Eric and I talked about it.
When we do New Zealand, by the way, I'm totally playing around to golf with him.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But anyway, he had a lot of strong feelings about it. And I kind of love that his feeling about it was positive, that it was a good change. Because if you notice in the Olympics, what new sports are coming in, they're more spectator-friendly sports. Because you guys, you have to remember, the Olympics is a product that they want to sell, right? It is not just for the good of humanity. It is literally a product that gets sold. And it's a product that's very expensive for people to participate in, spend their lives going to, and somehow it's been built to the point that it is. So things like skateboarding and surfing and things that people want to watch are coming in. And his argument was 1,500 meters means it's more of a kind of a fast and furious type of race. It's not as short as 1,000. So it's not like 3 minutes. It's like 5 minutes or whatever they're going to do. But that this will help the sport in the long run. That was his argument. So thoughts, comments, go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, and this is a discussion we've had with a few people now, a few of our guests on the podcast, talking about the future of rowing not being 2K or even 2K flat water based. There are a lot of us who have been in this sport a long time are kind of, without even trying to be, we're real traditionalists about it. Either we grew up rowing 2Ks or we got into rowing later in life, like myself, and we just know 1Ks. But that's kind of those are the standards. Right. And there's an opportunity to bring rowing to a much wider, not even audience, not just a televised audience, but just a wider group of people across the country, if it seemed to be more approachable and accessible. Like, people think about rowing as being this thing that happens out there and they go and they go and they go and they go. And I see them for 4 seconds. And there's an opportunity to think about rowing in shorter bites. And I think that could be a ton of fun, actually. If we had regattas that were, 500 meters, why the hell not? Quickie little races. I mean, this would change how we think about rowing and racing and putting together regattas, but potentially could bring in a lot more people.
Yeah, like a regatta, like a regional championships where there's a 500-meter race and a 1,000-meter race,
Mhm.
right? Like you've already got the course set up for 1,000. Just, I mean, I know logistically, like start moving the starting blocks, moving the starting people, moving the finish line. Like I get it. I get that that's it. The other thing that we talked a lot about was equity in rowing, which involves like in terms of indoor rowing, I think we were talking about timed events and you go as far as you go. And even timed events on the water.
Mm.
Like you have 4 minutes,
Go.
right? Go.
Huh.
Whoever gets the
Yeah.
furthest
Yeah.
wins.
Yeah.
You know, like how equitable. Everybody stops at 4 minutes. It's like when we talked about, doing 2K tests on the erg. In my team, we did 8-minute tests because we knew that everybody would feel something about the fact that they were the last person or the first
Yeah.
person, or,
Yeah.
there's extra stress that we don't need to have there.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, and I being such a small person, small rower, was, like, always the last one to finish, and, I could talk about that for ages, but there are 2 things that happen there when you're the last one finishing. Either you really use it as motivation or you get wicked frustrated, and you're like, "This sucks," and I give up.
Yeah, so Michael Tutlaw from Chicago is pointing out that, we're only living in this time, in this last 20 years in rowing. And, it's been what it is for 100 years, in the Olympics or in the major events, and we have to realize that this change may not be in the course of things, in the larger scheme of things, might not be a big deal. But
Yeah, totally right. It could not. It could swap to 1,500. It could be back to 2K, for a variety of reasons.
But here's my thing. So speaking of the Olympics, so when I was a kid, I watched a series on, maybe it was PBS. I don't know. It was the 80s, so who knows what was around. But it was a series called The First Olympics. I don't know if
Oh,
anybody's ever seen this, but it was called The First Olympics. And it was a series, and it was really fascinating. And it kind of followed this group of track and field people in England. And it was the first established Olympics, organized Olympics since Athens,
mm,
right? Literally. And
mhm.
so these guys were hurdlers and shot putters, and they were being sort of recruited. It was really kind of fun. They would like find a guy like heaving something in a shipyard, and they were like, come here and try shot put. And so they were putting on some fundraising event at one of the guys was a hurdler, and there was a glass of champagne that he would put on the hurdles so he didn't drop any drop of the champagne. That's
Mm,
how he practiced.
mhm.
Anyway, so they were doing this like exhibition event for some donors, and all they had was the texts from Athens of how the Olympics worked, and they
Huh.
all came out naked, right? But the funnier part was they arrived at the Olympics, and the guy goes to do his shot put, and the official's like, hold on a second, let me see that. And the guy was like, oh, it was really, really, he was like, this isn't what you use. And they handed him a lighter, the real shot put, and he was like, boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
And what it makes me think of, like, keep training for 2K because 1,500 will be like,
Yeah.
you know, a,
Yeah.
a good practice. And my question for Eric and for us was, how does this affect collegiate racing and juniors racing?
Mhm.
Because that's been 2K forever. So do we, in fact, model all of our racing after the Olympics, right?
Yeah, I would say, let's say at least, like, the year, like, a year leading up to the 2028 Olympics. Well, I take that back. Hmm. Sorry, I just had, like, 3 different things going on in my brain. But you're right. Will juniors and collegiate athletes be rowing 1,500 meters? Is that a thing that's gonna start happening after LA 2028? I'm gonna guess no, because most likely, who knows, but most likely wherever the Olympics are held in, oh my god, 2032, which is a crazy year to be even thinking about,
It's only
most
10
likely
years
it's
from
after
now.
2K.
That's only 10 years from now.
I know, but just that number, like 2032,
It
I don't
seems
know, anyway.
like it seems so Jetsons.
So
You know,
it does. You're gonna, yeah, it'll be the 30s. But anyway, we're curious to see what happens in the build up to 2028 and then post 2028 with that 1,500-meter course. And we're curious how people are going to be training for that. That national team rowers are going to be training for that.
so
But
I
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was going to say, but bringing it back to masters rowing, we wanted to talk a little bit today about rowing, training, and regattas in the fall. So we talked already a little bit about crummy weather in the fall. And the thing that's been on my mind a lot the last couple of weeks is just how stinking dark it has gotten during our evening practices. Same in the morning.
Do you
So
guys stop that at some point?
do we do what?
Do you stop evening practice at some point?
Well, I mean, our season is gonna end at the end of October, and, until then, really, it's just it gets darker and darker throughout practice. Right now, I'd say the last 15, 20 minutes of practice are in, like, the actual dark where we really need to have lights on. Um,
Yeah.
but my other coach and I were talking about potentially shortening up practice and or starting it maybe about 15 minutes earlier, so we're off the water 15 minutes earlier for the next 4 weeks.
That's okay.
So, we'll see.
Yeah, so we just changed our practice from 6 a.m. to 6:15 because it's so dark. And then what else? Oh, and we don't practice in the evenings, but when I used to work at Mount Baker at the rowing center for the Parks Department, we ended evening practices at
Mhm.
that time. So we didn't have evening practice during the winter time, but
I
oh, it's dark here at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and I think I think it depends on where you are and what ambient light is around. Here in the city, we have a fair amount of it, so it's not like it's pitch black. The tricky bit is that there's so much ambient light, we have a lot of reflection, on the water of all the lights that are along the waterfront. We've got a couple of 3 bridges we go under, there are lights on all those bridges. And the lights help you see those things, but they also create all sorts of reflection and glare on the water, which gets super tricky to then spot the buoys. Um,
Yeah.
but it is doable. Your eyes adjust as a coxswain, and rowers, you could care less how dark it is. But as a coach, the last couple of weeks, what's really been on my mind is asking my rowers to wear lighter colored clothing. If you show up wearing all black and a black cap, I cannot see you for the last half of practice.
Yeah, we always said our coach was always like, "We're all black if you don't want coaching."
If
You
you
know,
do not want coaching, definitely.
so that was
Uh,
pretty clear. If someone showed up in all black, they were just like, "I just want to hide."
no. Yeah. Who did I see? I saw a photo. Someone we know went out in a single and had like neon lights, like
Yeah,
wrapped
you get
around their
those.
blades.
Yeah, you get those LED lights, and
Yeah,
it's so fun. We had someone on my team who actually strung them all over her uni.
yeah.
It was so cool. It looked cool. And then I've seen other clubs like do lights, on their riggers and stuff.
Mhm.
But my question for everybody is send us a picture, post a picture and tag us of your regatta bag. So the contents of your regatta bag, send us a list, send us a photo. We want to see what's in your fall regatta bag. So if you go ahead and just tag us in a photo, Steady State Network on Instagram or Steady State Row on Twitter, and Steady State Network on Facebook. We'd love to see what's in your regatta bag. I'm going to post a blowout picture of my regatta bag,
Yeah.
which includes a dry bag and layers and water bottle and whatever. So
Yeah. I'll do
and
the
not just the
same.
boat, not just the bag you take in the boat with you, but like the
Yeah,
whole
the whole shebang.
shebang.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. This weekend is gonna be even more than usual because the weather is gonna be so lousy. So, actually,
Garbage bags.
you know what? Actually, most of it will be on my person now that I think about it. My
Well,
all
you're
my
a
layers.
coxswain, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm bringing my coxswain kit, my cox box, and
do you have your own cox box?
I do not currently have my own Cox box, but I grabbed one from the club. I'm just really paranoid that they're either going to get lost between the boathouse and the regatta site, or it's not going to be charged, even though they're all fully charged when we packed them up last night. So I'd like to grab one and make sure I charge it up and I bring it with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
When I've coxed a race before, they made me take it home in a little holder box, and
yeah,
I charged it at home, and it was
yeah,
my baby to take care of. And You
And
know, you really don't want to arrive and have a crapped out Cox box.
no, that's the worst for a 5K.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so it's 8:30. Thanks everyone for watching. You're watching Steady State Network Coffee Chat.
yep, yep, yep. And you want to talk about Boston for a second?
Yeah, let's talk about Boston. So, wow, everybody has really responded well to our Allies with Oars mixed eight that's going out on the Directors Cup Challenge. Like, we've gotten so many sweet responses. We got reposted on Head of the Charles Instagram, which was really great. And we're really excited to go. We're making plans.
We are making plans, and some of you who are with us already know, but in case you don't, we got together with a bunch of rowers, mostly from the Midwest, who are all coming together for a mixed eight for the Directors Challenge event, the last event of the day on Sunday ahead of the Charles. And this is an event that is a little bit special, a little bit different, a lot different than the other events there, where this one, we are going down the course, and of course, we want to row fast and we want to row well. But all the proceeds from this particular event support the endowment of Head of the Charles, which then helps folks get on the water who may not otherwise. And we wanted to have not just a boat that went down the Charles, but we wanted to have a cause and a mission. And so our crew, Allies with Oars, is bringing to the forefront the notion that rowing should be accessible and welcoming to rowers of all gender identities. And we're really excited about the crew that's come together. Terry, you want to talk a little bit about those folks?
Yeah, so we are working with a lot of folks from the Greater Columbus Rowing Association. And it's been really fun. Like, this is a really motivated group of people. It's a mixed eight, but by that I mean even that language is so binary. Like, when you think mixed eight, you think male female. We're not assuming that. I think because we've had to register with U.S. Rowing, you have to pick a box, and unfortunately, U.S. Rowing hasn't kind of gotten on board yet with that or figured it out. But I understand it's a complicated issue, so that's part of our challenge, is having to check the box as a group. But right now we're racing at Sunday, 3:28 p.m., like the very, very last event of the whole regatta. So, but here's the thing: if you are racing that weekend at the Charles, send us your event number, send us your event name, send us your team, whatever it is, so we can know what to look for. And Rachel and I are going to be trolling the whole course all day Saturday, which may or may not be a mistake, because I've done that before, where I've walked a whole lot the day before and been like, oh,
your legs are toast. Yeah.
my legs are toast. So we might be finding a scooter, or a bicycles there. But we'll be on the course, and Concept 2 has generously agreed to let us do coffee chat from their tent on Friday. We'll do coffee chat from WinTech Saturday or Sunday. We don't know which yet, but Saturday or Sunday we'll be at the WinTech tent doing coffee chat. And otherwise, we'll just be parked on the course. So let us know your event. We'd love to cheer you on. We might have some pom-poms. We might have a sign.
I got to get my cowbells, Tara. Cowbells.
Oh, cowbells. We're going to have hopefully steady state signage.
Yeah.
Coming to you live. Like, we're just going to build like our own little step and repeat. Like, we'll just be like, put up the step and repeat right here. And we're like, hey, coming to you live from the Head of the Charles. It's Steady State Podcast.
Yep.
Super fun. I'm rowing 3-seat in this boat. I've got, I don't know all their names, but there's John and Larissa and Willow and you and Casey.
Yep.
And
we're missing a couple people.
I'm not sure what it is, but you're going to meet the crew this week. So Rachel's going to be starting some cool social media posts to meet the crew, meet the rowers of the boat, so you can just feel bonded. And if you're just hanging out with your beer at the beer garden at 3:00 on Sunday, give us a hey howdy as we go by, because we'll be out there killing it for inclusion.
Killing it. Can't wait. I have not coxed and ate down that course in a while. I've taken fours down the course over the last few years, but it's been a little while on an eight, and I just love the feeling of an eight charging down the Charles. So yes, we will be talking about this quite a bit over the next few weeks, and hope to see lots of you.
And this
Lots
is
of
the
you
first
there.
time I get to row an eight. This is my fourth time racing, but all the other times I've done a four, and so I've always wanted to do an eight. And so
Oh my
thank
God,
you,
you're gonna.
Fellow Arts, for making this possible and kind of setting us off on this path. I'm super excited to row an eight down the course and meet everyone. And I hope you'll follow along on social media.
Absolutely. All right, Tara. Oh man, we covered a whole lot this morning. Anything else before we go?
No, I think I'm good. We'll look for the episode tonight. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. I'm about to upload it right now for Rachel to have a final listen, and it's going to be great.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us. Tell your friends. Any help we can get spreading the word about Steady State Network and our podcast is really appreciated. So thank you for hanging out with us and being ambassadors for us. We really appreciate it. Have yourselves an excellent weekend. If you race, do well, have fun. Let us know how it goes. And we hope to see you back here next Friday. All right. High fives, everyone. Have a good one.